collectively a little bit quicker as they kind of learn the ins and outs of their opponents. So now that's actually going to be reflected in the draft, as they do have Elise now for Wiggily.
Yeah, and why not be confident for CLG? I actually walked past PoE in the hallway between these games. He says, "You ready for the reverse sweep?" I then asked him why they had to lose 2 games first before sweeping.
What did he say?
That was the end of the conversation.
Okay. No good answer.
Yeah, he said, we joked about viewership. It was interesting. But overall, CLG is riding high in confidence because they have reverse sweep Clutch Gaming before.
And Clutch, of course, trying to put a stop to it right now. As you mentioned, Jatt, and I think that is a cool thing to think about. If they're stopped, it's usually stopped here, because it is tough to be the one getting reverse swept mentally.
Yeah.
And Clutch have shown that when their players are confident, everyone's playing on point, they are deadly. But when the opposite is true, it falls apart real quickly like a soggy biscuit. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Clutch can kind of undo the history that's already been shown. But only one way to find out, Jatt. Let's play some League of Legends.
To get into Game 4 PastryTime and wonder if we're going to see early game jungle shenanigans. Lira again getting onto that Skarner, but the rest of the composition, I would say not as favorable. However, that's just based off the complexion of the series, because if you asked me before the series, hey, what happens if they get Rumble or Qiyana? You're like, Clutch probably feels pretty good about that draft. And here they have Qiyana.
Usually Rumble and Qiyana is the
both.
combination, but Damonte still very competent on this champion. So curious to see how that plays out.
That's why the Vladimir hover actually made a lot of sense, because you're thinking, okay, physical damage, assassin engager with the Vladimir flank. That is a little low on CC. If CLG was able to run away or disengage on that, instead they go for a bit more lane dominance. So not the most late game damage. All of it really has to come from Cody Sun.
Well, an invade, potentially, at least for some vision, is being looked at here by Clutch Gaming, as Huni and Lira did peek into the jungle. Cody also going to claim at the Spire for themselves. Already a ward there by CLG in the tribal. Hello. Huni and Ruin doing battle.
Yeah, you can't really deal with a Grasp GP if he gets the jump on you, so Huni takes a little bit of damage. Note the Electrocute on Aatrox, going for some shorter trades.
And Blue started up here, but kind of looked like they wanted to at least get some info, but information they have gotten. Yep, Wiggily going to be left alone on the buff, and things will start out pretty normally here.
Yep, Lira doesn't need the pull on Skarner. He can start on Raptors fairly easily as the Skarner.
Come to red, and I imagine he'll full clear that side as Wiggily. Going to diverge Blue straight over to the other side for him. So not interested in Gromp or Wolves right now. Certainly going to keep track of mid lane here. Damonte has had a decent series so far, but a quieter one for him. This is a champion where he must make noise on.
Mm-hmm. He has a bit of time, really. Look for the level 6 for Damonte, but if he dies before then and never gets to level 6 first, it could be difficult to come back, especially since PoE has gone exhaust on Syndra.
Don't see that too often, but always good against all-in assassin types, which of course Qiyana is. And it looks like Cody and Vulcan gonna have the early go of the push. Again, Alistar, not a whole lot of presence he can offer. So Stixxay and Biofrost will just be left to farm things up, but I feel like that's been the state of most of these 2v2 lanes, with the exception of game 1. So I don't think either team is too upset by the possibility of farming things out, as Damonte struggling here versus Syndra.
Yeah, and I think Syndra should be good in Qiyana and is good in Qiyana in 1v1s. It's when you get to the 2v2s where the gank assist that Qiyana can supply is threatening enough to stop the Syndra from harassing, but knowing that there is a jungle Skarner on the other side who won't have Predator boots early on in the lane, PoE should be playing as aggressively as possible against Damonte, and he is.
He's also precision secondary, if I'm looking at that right, so it doesn't even have a bit of extra help from Time Tonic or some biscuits. So taking a lot more poke. Damonte, though, I'm sure knows how to navigate this lane. Does go invis. Electrocute going to proc though for PoE. And looks like Damonte may be forced back early.
Yeah, he wants to stick around for this wave, but if Wiggily loops around, this could be a mid lane dive. PoE would have enough mana to stun, and Damonte would have to make an escape. They're thinking about it, but Lira is here to defend.
Nice read here from Lira. Stun gonna land. Wiggily looks for the cocoon, does not get it.
Somehow the stun didn't land on Damonte. It looked like the orb was just a little bit too far down the lane. If that stun does land, Wiggily likely lands the cocoon and maybe can go in for the execute and repelling out. But since Lira was there, kept him alive, still means the lane is heavily going in COD's favor.
And Damonte finally forced to go all the way back to the fountain. Lira is here to kind of scoop up what CS he can and make sure the XP and gold doesn't go to waste. Huni, in the meantime, battling Ruin here in the top lane. But like you said, Gangplank able to split most lanes.
Yeah, with Grasp and the potions early, it's incredibly hard to push him out of lane as the Aatrox once again, without gank assist. And since Lira's on the Skarner, you like to see CLG actually trying to take advantage of the first 6 levels of the Skarner, which is something they haven't done in previous games.
Yep, certainly seen Wiggily been on just farm to 6 style junglers, has been very passive in the early games of the first 3.
Yeah, and here he's gotten both Scuttle Crabs. He's attempted to dive mid. He hasn't gotten a kill, but he is trying to gain some advantages for his team.
Yep. So battle continues there. Wiggily goes back with the Chilling Smite now ready. Dips back to get a control ward, I believe, and now back out onto the Rift to maybe look for a second go at one of these lanes. Damonte also has found time to go get boots. No Merc Treads just yet. In fact, having a look down here, but just going to ward the Drake, it looks like. Oh, wow. No, maybe not.
Yeah. He was hoping for a wraparound, but he's still kind of trapped in the Drake pit. They see him now.
Yeah, they still go anyway, but now Damonte is going to be spotted.
Gauge. Okay. Yeah, Damonte would have been able to flash EQ and get a guaranteed route onto Stixxay, but kind of didn't think that would get a kill anyways. Also could have been headbutted away by the Alistar, so goes back to this very painful mid lane as PoE is pushing his advantage quite well.
Yeah, and you can see 20 CS up now for PoE. Damonte will get what he can. Q's there from Qiyana doing a decent job of getting a lot of that farm, but he's just consistently getting harassed, even though PoE isn't necessarily landing these stuns. And not enough AD, in fact, no extra AD at all for Damonte to get these waves done easier. So this is a tough time right now for Qiyana.
Yeah, had to go null magic based off of the harass PoE was putting down on. Probably wants to work towards Merc Treads, but now you can see without those AD breakpoints, the last hitting does become a little more difficult.
All right, well, back down in bottom lane. Looks like both bot laners have taken a trip back. Cody already used his TP actually to join in early, and he's got those Mana Mune pieces already built up with the pickaxe and the Sapphire Crystal. Stixxay has found enough time to save for a BF, and that's what he's got. As Wiggily and maybe even Biofrost can look to roam around the map together. Certainly can be a potent combination, as Wiggily is at least continuing to stay proactive here.
Yeah, and he knows Damonte is 6 here, which is where Damonte would try and get back into the game, so that's why he's kind of shadowing for PoE. The last thing they want is for all of this early lane pressure to not pay off at all for CLG if Skarner's able to come in and gank. And that's actually what they're hoping to go for. If they can get PoE to use his E, that's when Skarner goes in.
Let's use it. Here comes Lira. He's trying to bait a flash. Lands the E,
lowest
gets
gank
it!
ever.
And there's Damonte with the supreme display of talent into the wall. That's going to be first blood, baby. PoE finds the ulti, gets first blood himself. But Qiyana does finish off the kill. Still Wiggily is going to try and make it turn around. No flash here for Damonte. Wiggily going to rappel down. Auto, no, goes to the range form, and that's the cue for the final hit.
So many small things in that fight. They got the E out of PoE, but remember, no extra AD on Damonte, so this is lower damage than he's used to. He's almost always going to have a serrated jerk at this point in the game. Then the exhaust comes down, I think, before the damage is applied from the Qiyana R, again reducing the damage. And then because they took a turret shot, Wiggily is able to just bite Damonte down and picks up the 2-for-1 in the favor of CLG.
Not that I think it would have mattered, but I wonder if Damonte missed the brush there. He didn't have that much mana, so I don't even know if he could have cast Q, but you could try and buy some time himself. Regardless, a kill there for Wiggily as a result. Huni going to pop World Ender there in top lane.
Wow. Very early World Ender as he saw Wiggily on a ward, thinking that the gank was imminent. So, 1,000 early gold lead by CLG in Game 4 after being down 2-0 in the series. And this is more of a CLG game with mid priority and a strong bot lane. However, if this Ocean Drake goes over to Clutch Gaming, that's something CLG doesn't like giving up. Notice Huni actually roaming down for it as well.
I like this look from Clutch Gaming. Biofrost going to get the bad news late. And Clutch secure the early Ocean. Biofrost even on a ward. Imagine he's just faking this recall. Vulcan's like, get out.
Yep.
Biofrost, if you didn't know already, now knows that there's a ward there. But Again, not too much happening here in the bottom lane. Both just doing a good job farming up. Huni, in the meantime, it's kind of the first time we've really seen that he hasn't been able to find a personal lead in the 1v1.
I mean, he's also down 300 gold just because of Gangplank and Kleptomancy. It's Ninja Tabi versus Ninja Tabi Sheen. And half a TP on Gangplank. So it's looking pretty rough for Clutch Gaming there. They need to find their confidence again and actually make some of these plays work. But I do like how much CLG is throwing towards mid lane, knowing that in the 1v1, Syndra will win this matchup. So it's only when Clutch gets numbers advantages can they win. So therefore, CLG's just not letting it happen.
Little ulti out. There's Vulcan, gets knocked back. Didn't use the quickness, so I think was just trying to help Damonte out with some shields. But it is nice to see both supports getting a lot more proactive. And oh, of course, it's 10 minutes. I forgot the Rift Herald was coming up.
Yeah. The AD carries didn't. However, this is where Huni's trying to take advantage of his teleport advantage. So this is where CLG is actually the ones that need to start Rift Herald, and then it's Clutch to slow play it while Huni tries to get map advantage here. It is a way for them to kind of sneak back in the game. Now that Ruin matches, then means Clutch Gaming can go for the Rift Herald, because then Ruin would only be able to assist with his GP ultimate. I love this map play by Clutch, sending Huni down knowing he had a TP advantage.
Yeah, and TP might look close there for Ruin, but still a little under 2 minutes, which is not going to be enough time to contest with the Herald as Clutch are going to start it up. So a smart cross-map play, showing that they have evolved their, their tendencies for the Herald, but how they approach it.
You don't have to send everyone to Herald all the time. You can use teleport. But now, we still could see a fight. GP Ultimate is like half a champion in the early game, so if CLG wants to risk it, they can go for it.
Yep. Ruin actually roaming up. Huni already TP. No, he didn't. Can't see him. He's well done doing up. Oh. There he is, right at the power of evil. Lost him for a moment there, but Damonte looking for the stun. Doesn't quite land it, but the quickness in onto Wiggily is going to give Damonte that kill. Cody going to get exhausted. Is looking straight for power of evil. Doesn't grab it, and that's a kill there for Clutch.
Yeah, that's what all the pressure pays off into, was a kill and the Rift Herald for Lira. So kind of keeping them up in this game, and if they use it before 14 minutes, that plate gold will likely just equal the game.
Yeah, I like it. I feel like this kind of keeps happening where they're so consistently starting fights for the Herald that we forget to see who it's picked up. But Lira, I'm pretty sure, is just like, yep, just gonna quickly take the Herald while everything else is happening.
We were watching the fight over to the side, and I'm like, I heard a Rift Herald recall. I wonder who. Oh, of course, the jungler.
Lira able to grab that. As you mentioned, 2 minutes or just thereabouts for some plates to be collected. Vulcan here behind Cody. Biofrost threatening a dive. At least trying to posture so Stixxay can get some plate money of his own. And here comes Wiggily, spotting that ward up towards that potential dive, as Damonte also out and about in the river.
Yeah, Damonte has his Ignite and ultimate up again, knowing the PoE used his exhaustion in the last fight if they are timing summoners. Means they could go for this kill again. There could be a little gun shy though, because it backfired on them last time.
PoE has Zhonya's actually now finished. So I wonder if Damonte feels like he needs to pick a different target. That's a Rift Herald. I thought it was a Hex Flash. But Lira just going to drop the Herald over the top and give Huni some of that plate gold.
Yeah, Huni would... You actually want to get the first plate down before the charge, because then the Herald does true damage, so the added armor and MR that the turret gets from losing plates doesn't matter. Small little thing, but it looks like they still get 3 plates nonetheless. Yep,
Huni doing a good job. Ruin does what he can, knows that he can't really contest once the Herald has charged. And still a minute left to maybe collect a few more, but I think that's about all we're going to get this time for Huni. Very different from the...
So they don't... Okay, Vulcan sees Biofrost. Biofrost does not see Vulcan. Mix of information, and they're actually teleporting in for Wiggily.
Flash into the TP! Hello, it's Huni! Wiggily gonna have to run back towards the tower. Good Zhonya's, here's Ruin. Not sure they can do much else. Impale just to make extra sure. Ooh, well, Repel, you gotta hit him! Huni was busy, but now he's finally gonna get the kill. Looking to squash that spider. Is Ruin gonna be the next one to be chased down? Biofrost here to run interference, but Damonte maybe gonna look for the combo. Will force out the ultimate from Alistar.
Could be a first turret race after this as well. Stixxay's got about a plate and a half left here on the top lane, whereas Huni would like to get that bottom lane, but is spending time zoning off Ruin. Huni should win by a little bit, especially because Vulcan's coming up to threaten Stixxay. Yeah. Well done by Clutch.
Cody here as well. So Stixxay, I mean, yes, he can fight the Rakan. Rakan doesn't have ulti, but 2v1, not much of a chance there for Stixxay, despite having his SSV finished. So Huni will collect, I think, all the plates as well. It would have been close, but at least gets the first turret gold for himself as Lira just casually strolls in to take the second ocean.
Yeah, and Clutch have found a way to fight back in this game 4, since they did have the lost 2v2 in the early game. And a lot of times in a Qiyana versus Syndra matchup, that mid lane pressure can just spill out through the rest of the game and you can never recover. But they've done two smart things. They use their teleport advantage bottom lane to get an advantageous fight at the Rift Herald. And again, they used Huni's teleport advantage to get a kill onto Wiggily while Wiggily was checking river. So they're making map plays. They've controlled the objectives well. Rift Herald, both Drakes and first turret, and that's what's keeping them in the game.
Vulcan again has to protect Cody, but this dive may just be forced. Can't see the rest of the clutch. Biofrost looks for it. Gets the flash out of Wiggily. Here comes Damonte. Gets one into the wall. Finds a follow-up stun. And CLG, a misguided attempt there as they roam blind to the jungle, but they will snipe Damonte, who does flash as well. CLG now on their own counter-attack as they look to try and take out Vulcan. Over the wall he goes, and the rest of Clutch are safe.
And look at that. CLG actually has all 5 members to the top side, but they lose the fight 2 for 1. Huni was just walking up the bottom lane when that fight started, so Clutch Gaming able to get in and get out in a numbers disadvantage.
Well, Clutch continue to pick some of the pieces up here in top lane as Cody will finish off the rest of this wave. Ruin will make it back safely. And now has his Trinity Force completed. A very different timing than the last game, but let's watch this again. I mean, Wiggily and Bio maybe just don't expect this to happen so quickly. Yeah,
and this is more of Damonte's comfort zone where he's the one initiating the plays and looking for fights. He gets the kill onto the altless Alistar. Does take a lot of return damage because the GP ult and TP both come in to try and return. And then it's just about Clutch Gaming running away after they get the 2 kills.
Huni. Ooh, nice sweet spot there on the Ruin. Gonna make it all 3, just demolishes that health. But you can see Biofrost though, Huni gonna pop his own ulti. Afraid of potential retribution from what we know to be the alley roaming in. In fact, he cleared out a ward, so Huni knows as well.
Ooh, and I just noticed there's no healing reduction anywhere for CLG if we're thinking about mid-game team fights. Aatrox, I feel like hits his strongest point at 2 items, Black Cleaver +1.
Zonya's used. Yep, just one route. No real extra follow-up there for Clutch with the, Vulcan not having his ultimate and Damonte not having his either. So they'll get that. I mean, maybe if the ultis come back out, they can think of diving PoE. Huni in the bot side looking for a solo kill in the meantime. Lira going to try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Looks to finish it off, but Huni gets the flash himself.
That's going to get pretty rough. I think Ruin needs to build healing reduction immediately, because then he can easily apply to Huni in team fights. Not only in the 1v1 would it be helpful, but in team fights. If Huni doesn't have any healing reduced, I've seen plenty of Aatrox's 1v3 the backline, much like he did in his Aurelia games.
Oh, Ruin, he's just dead. Huni looking for it, does get it, gets out as well.
Huni's on top of this. I mean, he had that Lucian game that went awry, trying to win it back with Aatrox. That is a ton of map pressure, and he has the double ocean on top of the insane in-combat healing, so that Aatrox is just going to be living at full health pretty much everywhere he goes.
And unlike the last game, it really doesn't feel like CLG have an obvious way to attack Huni once he's in the side lane. So Aatrox taking over, takes the tier 2 turret. Let's watch this half of the solo kill.
Ruin already flashless from the last time. Once you land Q1 on Aatrox, if you pull off your combo just right, you can close it out because he lands the W, gets Q2 that keeps him in the W, and then gets him to the Q3. So just perfect execution on the Aatrox by Huni.
Also like that we have seen Lira shadowing him as well. I think knows that he has so much strength and is likely playing back with maybe, I guess he had confidence the whole series, but is still feeling it as a player right now. Looking to take over Death's Dance. I am starting to see some of the similarities you pointed out there, Jatt. Huni looking to take over.
And that longsword is a few gold away from being able to be an Executioner's Calling. Let's hope that's the direction Ruin is going. And it's also because PowerOfEvil started Zhonya's. So normally the Syndra would be able to pick up healing reduction with Zhonya's into Morellonomicon, but because he had to rush Zhonya's, he then builds his mana item second, delaying the Morellos.
Huni just sweeping out the vision, taking the Grom. Really taking over despite the gold lead being very close. It is not equal in Huni land right now. Clutch up about 1,000 gold, but CLG is still trying to punch through this mid lane tower. Stixxay has a decent amount of personal power, but CLG needs to play together and try and find a fight without messing things up.
Yeah, this is where the game could be broken open for Clutch if CLG tries too hard to contest this. The river is where Qiyana wants to fight most. Although an early Predator burned by Lira means they're really just zoning towards getting the Mountain Drake.
Clutch are going to start the Mountain Drake. CLG maybe just fancying a trade here for the mid lane outer tower. Biofrost just playing guard. Does see Damonte.
It's their best option, really, especially if they can get the turret. That would be a huge win for CLG.
Yeah, they do get it. The Mountain over to Clutch, but it is traded to that mid lane outer tower. Again, this game is very tense. Cannot undersell the stakes of this best of 5. For Clutch, it's not only a bit of revenge and some redemption versus CLG, it's one series away from a shot at Worlds.
Yeah, winner of this will play TSM tomorrow, who are considered by many to be underdogs in the series. So even though they have the most championship points throughout the year, which puts them as the final boss of the regional qualifier, TSM slumped towards the end of summer split, lost convincingly to Clutch Gaming in the quarterfinals of the playoffs, and then have really just been preparing for that moment since then. So either Clutch or CLG will go into that regional qualifier final as the favorite to be the 3rd seed for North America at Worlds, meaning this series is just all the more important. And Clutch Gaming, as we mentioned before, won the first 2 games convincingly, much like they did in Detroit for the 3rd place match, and are trying to pull things together to win in a 3-1 fashion.
Not enough. PowerOfEvil spends the ulti there on Damonte, but he had zombies as well, and had clearly calculated that that was unlikely to kill him.
Yeah.
Does keep the Qiyana away though. Damonte is moving in towards that mana item as you mentioned, and I do have good news for you, Jatt. That longsword has in fact turned into an executioner's calling there.
Yay! He understands that it's needed. Won't keep him alive, but it will definitely help them take down Huni in team fights.
Oh, they're going for it.
Here we go.
Speaking of Huni, Biofrost in there, looking for the ulti, doesn't quite get it. Oh goodness, into the backline. Goes the rest of Clutch. Huni's still alive. Wiggily.
Oh, it didn't work.
Ducked! And Vulcan gets the kill of all people.
Oh, and I thought maybe Clutch could go for more because Damonte did have all of CLG up against a wall. Decided not to go for it. You could see Clutch was calling the retreat. Man, they dumped so much onto Huni, still unable to take him down. Oh, can we get Vulcan?
Well, no ulti, so no luck there for PowerOfEvil. Vulcan does get away. CLG only lose 1. Again, keeping the gold close between the 2, but Huni is starting to widen the gap for himself and for his team.
Yeah, Huni at the turret gets caught by a cocoon, and CLG says, all right, everybody into Huni. Biofrost sees a look, but doesn't actually get any CC onto Huni, so they're unable to get all of their damage through to him, and it ends up just being Wiggily who overcommits into Cody Sun and Huni.
Pays for it with his life. The blue buff
Oh,
also got stolen. Huni
we've
again.
seen this before. I think they got him.
1v4. Huni does have his flash, but he gets rooted in place by Stixxay and shut down by the same.
Actually, a very big mistake by Huni right there, knowing they have the double ocean, knowing they have the split push pressure up where he can't beat. Clutch can't do anything with that commitment by CLG. There's no Drakes up. It's too early for them to force Baron. They can't even get the top turret. So it's just CLG who gets to make an offensive play here after killing Huni.
We'll look to take this tier 2 in mid, and they will get it very quickly. No one from Clutch really there in time to respond as Damonte gets himself a Dark Spear to the face. They're trying to sneak in and maybe look for an angle for the ulti. CLG still bunched around Baron.
Yeah, Huni has teleport in 7 seconds, so if CLG actually goes in too hard here, there is a ward behind CLG that Huni could try and teleport in on if Clutch really wants to fight. Here comes the teleport. Can they catch him?
CLG, I think they've just seen it now, but that's a big stop for Lira. Huni gets the knock up as well. Clutch going in for it. Damonte already took down Wiggily. Do not fight Qiyana in the jungle as Clutch explode for the fight as Damonte. He's going to clean up Stixxay, and Huni barely going to be left alive. Ruin will shut him down with the ulti, but that cost them so much.
We'll see if that Ruin ulti is enough because Clutch would want to take Baron here. Cody Sun, the main DPS, Mountain Drake Kaisa takes it very quickly, but still 3 people alive for CLG. This could be a series-defining Baron.
Didn't get another carry. I think that would give Clutch more confidence. Maybe going to turn for a fight. Have to dodge the Syndra Stones. Biofrost in. very aggressive, but again, they're just trying to poke them here. Lira taking quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, no smite for CLG, so if Clutch wants to try and burn it, they could. They just have to worry about dying.
Yeah, and again, dancing back and forth, trying to use the motion.
Oh.
They're pulling off. They do not want to take the risk.
Such a clutch hold there by CLG to stop them from taking Baron. Watching this again, though, CLG didn't realize there were wards behind them. So they were just trying to get Baron control, and Clutch pounced at exactly the right moment. Qiyana going over the wall with the big initiation, but I felt like that fight was really all about Huni. Level 15 with his ultimate coming in. CLG unable to burst him down, but CLG disperse enough to only lose their AD carry and their jungler, which gives them enough tools to at least delay Clutch. I think if Clutch watches that back, they may have wished that they just burned the Baron, because there wasn't a real chance of a steal, and then they would have it.
Oh, wow.
Not, and now Vulcan might be caught.
Stunned. That should be a kill. Enough damage is there. Stixxay gets the last feather in.
And it was before Huni was ready for the flank. Huni wants to fight this, but now they have to pull off and CLG get another objective.
Second mountain would have been nice for Clutch, but it is CLG that will claim that Drake. And now the Baron threat is stepping up. Mountain is so important when trying to burn down big objectives, and Clutch could have had two. Instead, they split the difference.
Yeah, now either team can threaten Baron with roughly the same speed.
Damonte. PowerOfEvil is the target, but exhaust nicely timed for PoE. Damonte not able to assassinate the Syndra.
I feel like we should see more exhaust into Qiyana. You don't see it into Akali because Akali can space her damage out so much, but against almost all other assassins, when you do see them played mid lane, it's an incredibly effective tool to shutting them down. And you can see PoE avoiding most assassinations by Damonte because of the exhaust.
Huni dancing around. Ooh, that barrel auto. Very nicely weaved in there. Huni does not fall. CLG, though, still proactively hunting for any stray members of Clutch Gaming. Know that if they can get one pick, maybe turn it into something else, that at least the threat of the Baron is enough to draw the rest in and then open up the game for themselves. This game is delicately balanced on what feels like this first Baron.
Yeah, and also because the Mountain Drake exists for both teams, not only is it faster Baron, it's faster base destruction. So the winner of the fight could take so much gold that they would become unstoppable in the rest of the game. And if that is Clutch, that means the series is over. CLG's season would end. So the tension that builds in these moments is just higher and higher. CLG has to be so careful about checking into the river because of the Qiyana and the Aatrox flanks that have caught them a few times already, but they can't let that stop them from looking for fights. CLG has so many initiation tools. Syndra, Elise, Alistar, they need to be looking for fights, but they just can't go in the river safely, so it's so difficult for CLG to find success.
Ruin forced to rotate back around to the rest of his team. CLG don't want to be split up for too long. That does give Huni, who has no TP, a little bit more room to shove down this lane.
With no TP though, CLG should have timed that off to the last fight. They can at least get a lot of vision control.
And they do in fact take hold.
At best they could just start it. I mean, there's no scryers available for Clutch, but both teams a little hesitant to all in on Baron. They don't want to be the team that throws at Baron.
Yeah, they know the tension of the situation. Biofrost going to be the target. Uses his ultimate, now going to get pulled back by the Impale. Biofrost is going to fall to Damonte, but Huni, I think he went in too close. He's going to die to Stixxay. CLG trying to fight it out. Stixxay about to get killed. Lira able to find the last crystallize to get that kill, but Ruin chunks down Cody. They get the kill. Wiggily able to find the assassination, and now Damonte trying to dance his way out of there, but he's left for dead as well. Will not get an exit kill. Ruin able to find the shutdown.
Such a close fight right there. 3-2 for Clutch Gaming. You could see Damonte held on to his ultimate all the way till the end, but then couldn't find the execute. He went for GP, but watching the start of the fight, it was CLG checking river and immediately Clutch trying to close in on. Huni had ran all the way down from the top lane and they kill Bio, and they see wanting to finish off this fight because Huni ticks out, it gets so close. So Stixxay being down, you now have to watch Cody Sun. If he doesn't get hit by that cocoon, Clutch probably wins the fight and takes Baron, but Wiggily so clutch. Not only does he cocoon him, he is able to repel the Qiyana ultimate on the wall. Very difficult skill shot to see in these chaotic situations, especially when he's on the other side. So really big shout out to Wiggily for not only landing that cocoon, but also repelling the damage.
Hit the first one too, that smacked Huni and got him killed. So Wiggily stepping up to the plate. One of the newest members of CLG, and certainly as far as professional league experience goes, is the youngest in that regard on Counter Logic Gaming. So we kind of thought after those first few games he's playing a little too passively for a team that's looking to take it to another best of 5 versus TSM. But on the Elise now, feeling a bit more comfortable perhaps on the stage, starting to step into his role here as the player that he has shown he can be throughout the season for CLG.
And you don't need to be having a great series to make a big play. You don't need to be having a great game to make a big play. And with at 3 and 5, it's not like Wiggily has been playing immaculately, but even if we think back to the playoff series that CLG has played, when they're against Optic and he was on Rek'Sai, finding fight after fight to prevent CLG from losing those games, you can untilt at any moment and still make a big play, and I think we saw that from Wiggily in that fight. Again,
the mental back and forth between these two teams, especially if we kick it to a 5th, something we'll have to consider, but still game balanced oh so delicately. 700 gold, not even between the two sides, and they're constantly looking for fights here. There's an Infernal Drake up in 5 seconds that will continue to spur teams to action around these objectives.
Yeah, and you have to be so testy with this Infernal Drake, because if you overcommit, the other team can run to Baron knowing they both have Mountain Drakes. But COD actually gets mid lane priority, which allows them to take the Spire away from Lira, and they are the ones that can start up this Infernal Drake. And Clutch actually gives it up. And since it's so quick, they can't get Baron either. If anything, they'd hope for a fight here in the river, and CLG needs to smartly not get caught.
CLG, I think, no, they can take some time. Clutch are going to start the Baron, though.
So the whole series, Clutch has been very hesitant to all in the Baron, hoping that CLG is hesitant to check. It's low.
Look at Damonte, well, could maybe find the flank. The Baron is solo. Ruin finally used the ulti. That's the spite there for Lira, and Stixxay is going to get jumped up by Damonte, but a double root from the Featherstorm is going to force Clutch back away. Ruin is chasing in. They do kill Huni. Ruin still looking, gets snared up by Lira, but Cody over the top. I don't really know where Clutch can run. CLG are trying to chase him down, but PowerOfEvil gonna miss that first stun. He flashes over the wall to try and make it happen.
Scatter!
Clutch is trying to get out of there. Cody, I don't think will be so lucky. Tagged by the tower, does have his flash, maybe he's okay. But there's the stun topside onto Lira. He will fall here to PoE, but Cody still trying to run. Finally, tagged by a GP barrel. Interesting trade between the two teams.
Man, such a battle right here. The Baron rush after the Infernal Drake. Didn't think Clutch would have enough time, but CLG had to be so careful about checking, because if they run in head forward without face check, without any vision, Damonte and Huni would have been able to full wipe them. So that's why it was an okay call. Stixxay getting that ultimate off before being executed by Damonte is the reason that CLG was able to win this fight. If he gets one shot, I think Clutch continues to all in. Because he didn't, Clutch actually calls to retreat. Huni down, everyone scatters. It's just about who can get out with the recalls.
And again, Vulcan gets stunned, and you know how the rest of that played out. They got 2 kills. CLG leave Clutch with only 2 Barons, one on Damonte, one on Vulcan, I believe. But a pretty hefty price to pay, giving up the Infernal, getting the Baron, but losing 3 in the process. I'm going to say even-ish at the end of it all, and the Gold League kind of reflecting that as well.
I think so too, but if we look at the overall team compositions, I feel like COD's winning, because the Gangplank scales better than the Aatrox, and I think the Syndra also scales better than the Qiyana. It doesn't mean that Clutch can't find fights and get good initiations, but in a straight-up 5v5, I think CLG wins. And you know what? They also win in 1v3s.
Yep.
But we've seen this story before. The cooldown on that Aatrox is really low. He's going to skate around as long as possible while Clutch take turrets.
Yeah, Clutch are actually just shoving mid lane. PowerOfEvil.
He gets away.
Good flash. He's back to his team. Huni found the escape route.
He can't keep getting away with it, PastryTime.
Well, he is so far. Gets the tower and gets out. PoE looking for another stun, but Vulcan dips away as Damonte already. The other one with the Baron buff has prepped this top wave.
Oh man, that Aatrox E down to a 3.5 second cooldown. So unless you have a flank of some kind, or Rammus, you're not catching him.
We could have had Rammus. No. All right, well, Huni gets out. Has to burn his flash, but I think a small price to pay given the situation. Ruin did teleport in to try and make that play happen, but CLG run Huni around, lose their tower in mid. Only 35 seconds left on the Baron for Clutch, so it doesn't seem like CLG will lose anything else or much else after that play, and we'll be back to a very even game. In fact, the gold is dead even as I look back up at the scoreboard.
Yeah, I think CLG has an advantage, but it's a small one, and it's contingent on being able to get vision over this river, which is not an easy task. Biofrost needs to be in the front. They need to see the side laners, and then they can get mid priority towards Elder. If they actually run it through the jungle, it's really dangerous.
Wiggily almost found the stun there. Damonte going back in again. What a massive ulti! Damonte able to take down Wiggily, and Clutch are going to start the fight, but CLG, they're retreating through the corridor. Ruin with a nice GP ultimate to try and cover the escapes. Only one down on CLG.
Wow, I'm very surprised that CLG didn't first push out mid before going towards the river. Instead, they run through the jungle. They only lose Wiggily for it, but that maintains Clutch's control as this Elder Drake gets closer and closer to spawn.
And Stixxay had kind of a quiet one, but one of the stronger components of this composition right now, and he's had a good game for himself. Needs to be awfully careful with all the dive that Clutch can bring upon him. He's got no ult, he's got no flash, he doesn't have a QSS yet either. So Clutch continue to try and look for these plays, try and find picks, but both teams' attempts feel like they're coming up a little short. Again, how tense this game must be at this moment.
It's just so close. CLG has a lot of ways to dodge the initiations. They have the exhaust, and here's another one.
Onto Huni they go! Looks like he popped a plate, but it's actually pretty tanky, all things considered. Lira goes in, PoE finds Huni. CLG may have found a fight they like, but Biofrost taking a little bit too much damage. Ulti there as Cody takes down Bios. Damonte, I think, found the rest of the fight, but now Vulcan dives in. Cody still fighting his way up, but Stixxay takes him down. Almost an ace. Is Lira the only one on Clutch left alive?
Oh, that is so big for CLG. Huni just completely stun locked. He's got Ninja Tabi against Syndra Elise, so he could not move during that fight. CLG get Elder.
Elder away. Lira forced to back off with no health, so no steal forthcoming there. And again, Huni thinks he's fine. He did have Stoneplate. He's actually quite tanky.
Yeah, but 5 seconds of 4 items, 80 carry, shredding you. It's going to take down anyone, because look at Cody. Cody can't go in until someone else engages, so he's not doing anything by the time Huni dies. Then, when Damonte goes in with the Qiyana ultimate, he still only finds one, which is quite surprising considering it seemed like such a close corridor, but the CLG carries were positioned over to the left and unable to go down, and then Stixxay just wins the duel with Cody Sun. One more passive proc. One more passive proc from Kaisa. Stixxay probably goes down. That's how close this game is.
And these are two players and champions that can really make things happen in the late game. Stixxay so far looking good, but Cody has been phenomenal in late game team fights all season long, it feels like. So certainly still very close, but I think that CLG edge you talked about, Jatt, is starting to creep into this game, and no chance to fight off that Baron. CLG will take it.
I think we're going to game 5, basically.
It feels like it.
Yeah, unless we see some amazing flank, which is what Clutch is trying to set up with the side lanes being pushed out by Huni and Damonte. CLG has Stixxay at 6 items plus a QSS. They have the Zhonya's on 2. Damonte really is stuck on 3.5 items. CLG is just going to take at least 1 inhibitor on this Baron.
Huni got to get back real quick. Doesn't go back, actually. The waves aren't in a good spot for CLG to continue this push, so it does seem like they'll have to take time to reset and push out the other waves, but Ruin already goes back. Huni takes his time to steal the blue buff because he can. But again, if we do go to that 5th game, I think it's important to note that like history has an unbelievable weight. Like it's irrational to be like, well, it happened before, but like but it can't happen again. But it doesn't feel like that when you're sitting in that spot. All you can think is it cannot happen again.
2-0. That's right where CLG wants you. That's when they can begin your mental destruction.
9 kills away from a Yasuo main. 9 deaths away, sorry.
They got the 3,000 gold lead. This game is still not over. Baron's still up for a little bit. They're going to be able to take down a few more turrets, but you know the way Stixxay's cleaned up, I feel like Ruin getting this Gangplank pick, even if he's falling down 1,000 or 2,000 gold, he's good enough at it in teamfights that it's making a big difference. And then I think CLG's handled this Qiyana pick really well. I imagine they've thought about and talked about how to position around that pick, and Damonte hasn't gone off. Now he wants to try and find a flank. This might be a moment for them to try and get something.
Ulti there from Ruin. They're going to move in and try and take the tower down. They do get it. Ruin is just destroying this inhibitor. with Stixxay behind him. Biofrost didn't use his ulti. Clutch might be making a desperate play here.
Okay, COD has to cheat to the right, otherwise Damonte can slam everyone up against the left side wall.
Here comes Huni. Biofrost the target, does get tagged, gets out though from the chains.
Monte's a little too far ahead.
Left alive. I think Biofrost is going to buy time here. Yeah, Biofrost knows he's going down, doesn't even use his ultimate.
So they want to keep chasing, there's no turret. Damonte actually missed a jump over the wall, so he should be in position, but he is not.
Stixxay actually the one in front. Gotta be careful, Damonte.
He's got flash.
He does. Stixxay the target. Huni finds it. Stixxay gonna burn the ulti. Now's the time to go in. Stixxay needs to be the target, but he's moving back towards the team. Not picked up yet. Vulcan dives back in. And there's the ulti that Clutch have been begging for all game long. Ruin the last one left. Clutch, if they can get the ace, that may just be the game.
It may be the game even without the ace. Look at these minion waves. For some reason, Cody teleported to the bottom lane when they had a wave in the top. That might actually keep the series alive. I don't know what that TP was when they could have just closed it, but there's one fewer turret down here, and everyone's moving while Huni goes back to defend the base.
Oh, the super minions, though. Can they delay Clutch long enough? Ruin tries to clear the wave, doesn't quite get it. Clutch are still going here. Huni, no TP, cannot help his team out right now. But Biofrost doesn't go in, they want it for Ruin. That's the target, killer instinct in. Ruin into stasis. Biofrost just trying to buy time. He does die, Ruin finally falls, and Biofrost forced to flash away. 10 seconds till he's got his next friend up.
Wiggily up in 6, turret, they have the Mountain Drake.
Biofrost slow, they're going for it all. Clutch aiming, they said they would never let it happen again, and they have done it. They will play DSM for the last spot at Worlds.
Ooh, what an ending, PastryTime. To go into that regional qualifier final, they just chased and chased and chased down that top lane, 2/3 of the way across the map before finally Damonte found the dream ultimate onto the entire CLG team. And then right before the death timers were up, they ended CLG's season.
As much as I love a good counter ulti, nice job, Vulcan. That was a really good setup.
Yeah.
To make sure that happened, and it did feel like without the Rumble, Clutch couldn't make as much happen with the Qiyana. And we're kind of looking at Damonte saying this pick does not look like it used to, but
Yeah.
proves us wrong at the best possible point.
I mean, the game was seemingly turned. There had been an Elder Drake for CLG. They had the scaling advantage with the Gangplank. They had Baron, right? They had an inhibitor. They were on the road to the second consecutive reverse sweep. History is undefeated in a lot of these games, but in this particular moment, Clutch is able to reverse it, and they look so relieved that they didn't have to go to a game 5. Being able to take that final shot, yet another TP flank, and to have it work, so important as this now sets them up for a Worlds qualification bout against TSM.
You're very polite, Jatt. You said seemingly turned. That game looked over. We
Yeah.
were all ready to give the win there to CLG and play another game.
Yeah, the goal was pretty close, but we both said, we think we're going to game 5. I think everyone in the building thought we were going to a game 5. Clutch probably even thought, hey, unless we do something pretty big, it's probably going to game 5. But then they did something miraculous, and they're able to win the series.
Something pretty big came up, and Clutch reversed the reverse sweep and take it over CLG 3-1. But scoreline does not reflect how tense that last game was.
Yeah, I think it does. The scoreline, 20 kills to 17.
Oh, the series score. Yeah, the actual,
75 to,
the scoreboard's a mess.
The 3-1 of the series, right? It felt like it was that one team fight away from CLG reverse sweeping again, and Clutch just getting memed forever. But no, now they still have a chance to go to Worlds, and it's CLG who, you saw the disappointing faces there. They were very confident to go into that game 5 after winning 1.5 games after being down 0-2.
Like you said, I mean, the Gauntlet is brutal. Your season ends if you don't do anything other than win in a single Elim best of 5 tournament. But I kind of like that Clutch, again, going from the team that couldn't beat anyone unless they were below them, to almost reversing the script completely, where they will take a pretty large revenge tour, it feels like, through almost everyone they have played. Now just TSM left.
Yeah, and they have beaten TSM 4 weeks ago at the quarterfinals. They won in fairly convincing fashion. They're going to be pretty confident. I mean, they said they were actually happy that they ended up losing to Counterlogic Gaming in the third place match, and we got to see why here, right? They were actually able to stop the reverse sweep, and now they're